Stagecoach Travel by Darlene Ramos. It is easy to travel today. People jump in their cars or take trips on trains or airplanes. The ride is fast and comfortable. Travelers can turn on heat or air conditioning as needed. They can listen to music or even watch a movie. But travel in the Old West was different. Trips were tough, uncomfortable, and long. Travel today is a very different experience from travel in the Old West. The Concorde coach was made from wood, iron, brass, and leather. During the 1800s, Americans headed west looking for land and opportunity. It was a chance for many to start a new life in a new place. In the 1840s, another rush started. People went west looking for gold. At that time, there were only a few ways to travel west. People could ride horses, take a covered wagon, or travel in a stagecoach. The legend. Movies paint a romantic picture of stagecoach travel. The coaches look big and roomy. The driver sits high on his seat with polished boots. He looks worthy of his important job. The horses are beautiful and gallop most of the trip. Smiling travelers are well dressed, and the trip is always exciting. This common image cannot be defended. Stagecoaches were often crowded with passengers. Wagons had to be sturdy to withstand the bumpy trip west. The coaches. Actually, stagecoaches were small, and the passengers were crammed inside. The two types of passenger coaches were the Celerity wagon and the Concorde coach. The Celerity had a canvas top and canvas sides that made it light in weight. These light wagons could travel fast over rough roads. The seats were cushioned, and the middle seat could fold down into a bed. The original Concorde coaches were designed for use in the East, where roads were smoother. A more sturdy coach had to be built for the journey west. There, roads were more like trails. The bumpy ride west would break glass windows, so the new Concordes had heavy leather flaps instead that could be rolled up. Coaches were built to seat from 4 to 16 passengers inside. More passengers could sit on top. Some travelers sat on top of a stagecoach. It was rough to ride in a stagecoach. Travelers were cramped and uncomfortable. During the summer, it was hot and dusty. In the winter, it was freezing cold. There wasn't much to do but look out the window or talk to fellow travelers. The journey was often long. The drivers. The stage drivers were strong. They had to handle a team of 4 to 6 horses. It was not easy driving a stagecoach through hot deserts and along dangerous mountain trails. Stage drivers had a reputation for being fast drivers, but most knew better than to run the horses the entire trip. Often, the horses were allowed to trot. The drivers just put on a good show when arriving at or leaving a town. The driver's seat was 7 feet above the ground. The journey west. Most stage lines or routes were long. The famous Butterfield Overland Line was 2,795 miles. It started in St. Louis, Missouri, and ended in San Francisco, California. The trip cost $200 and took up to 25 days. Traveling over mountains in a stagecoach took a long time. Stage stations were set up every 15 to 20 miles to change horses. Fresh horses replaced tired horses. The change only took a few minutes. Some stations served quick meals and travelers could spend the night. The comforts of a town provided a welcome rest from the bumpy road. When the stagecoach rolled into a town, the townspeople ran to meet it. Children escorted the coach to its stop. A stagecoach meant mail and visitors. For those who traveled, a town meant a place to clean up, eat a good meal, and sleep in a comfortable bed. Who wouldn't deserve a good rest after getting bumped up and down for miles and miles? Dangers on the road. Stagecoach travel had many dangers. A loud noise or a rattlesnake could make jumpy horses bolt. If the lead horses ran off a cliff, the entire coach could follow. Weather was a big concern, too. Deep snow made the ride almost impossible. In the spring, rivers swelled from heavy rain. Crossing them was dangerous. Churning currents could overturn the coach. Flooded rivers were too dangerous to cross. Travelers feared attacks by thieves along the trails. Sadly, stagecoaches were often robbed. Thieves stole goods, cash, and watches from passengers. Robbers held up stagecoaches on roads where the driver could not escape. Some drivers were armed, but in a hold-up situation, drivers used their weapons only to protect passengers. The passengers relied on the driver for their safety. End of the line. From about 1840 to 1890, riding in a stagecoach was the most popular way to journey west. As roads improved, riding coaches became a little more pleasant. Not everyone was satisfied to cross the western states at 10 miles an hour. Slowly, travelers chose a new way to travel. They rode the train. Train tracks followed many of the old stagecoach lines. The legend still lives on. By the early 1900s, stagecoaches had stopped running in most places. After their days of driving a coach ended, many drivers opened hotels. Some worked on ranches and stayed close to their horses. Stage travel is gone, but the image of the Old West, stagecoaches, tough drivers, and galloping horses still remains. Responding. Target vocabulary. Word builder. What other words have the ed ending like satisfied? Copy and complete the chart below. Write about it. Text to text. What other ways of travel have you read about? Write a paragraph describing another way to travel. Include at least 2 words from the word builder. Target vocabulary. Churning. Defended. Deserve. Escorted. Relied. Reputation. Satisfied. Situation. Swelled. Worthy. Target strategy. Monitor. Clarify. Notice what is confusing as you read. Find ways to understand it. Word teaser. Use a vocabulary word that rhymes with the word reserve to complete the sentence below. I can't reserve a seat on the coach, but I sure blank to sit by the driver.